All right, welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Edge. This is an RPG and gaming news podcast. My name is Hat,
And I'm Eric.
and it's just going to be us tonight. Stan's actually got some stuff he's got to do with his day job, so you're stuck with just me and Eric. But we got some good topics today. First up on the agenda, we have a KOTOR remake, Knights of the Old Republic remake rumor. It's getting a lot of attraction, so we're going to go over possibilities of whether or not we think that's real, but also, what are our general thoughts on the idea of a KOTOR remake. And then we're going to go over some of our Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC. I know Eric's beat it. I've only played it a little bit, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to try to be, mostly spoiler free, just because we know not everyone's played it. It hasn't come out on the Xbox yet. So we'll try not to spoil it, but it's going to be a little difficult given it's kind of following the main Kingdom Hearts 3 game, but we'll do our best. And then there's going to be also a Project Xehanort. So this is going to be a side spinoff game that's exploring some additional story with Kingdom Hearts. So we're going to talk about what we know regarding that. And then there's an announcement of a new Witcher anime movie that's coming to Netflix called Nightmare of the Wolf. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And then we have a question from Decoy Manta who asks, in your opinion, what are some of the most overrated and underrated RPGs out there? So that's going to be the topics for this week. So let's get into our first topic of the day here. So we have Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake rumor. Now, this is a collection of two rumors that were originally reported by Cinelinx. And the reason this has gained so much traction to the point where even IGN is talking about this is that what Cinelinx does is they usually do not report on rumors unless they are getting the same rumor from separate sources. So it's not just like a 4chan post or some random, Reddit post. They're getting this information from different locations and they're comparing the information, and it's the same or some very similar information. So they went ahead and reported it. And usually, apparently, from what I've heard, they've been pretty good in the past. Obviously, you can't be perfect. But anyways, they're reporting that there's two rumors that are claiming that Electronic Arts or EA is currently working on a remake of Knights of the Old Republic, except the remake is going to be a reimagining, which merges or rewrites the story of KOTOR 1 and 2 together, but it's also going to try to keep with current canon, whatever that means. And, there's been a lot of debate about whether or not this is true. Most people are kind of leaning towards this is probably true, but this rumor is being bolstered by the fact that Kathleen Kennedy, who's currently in charge of the, Star Wars brand, mostly, on the film side, has stated that they're interested in working on something KOTOR related. Although I think that quote that people keep quoting, if you look at the actual video, it seems like she's just like trying to be agreeable. It didn't seem like she was actually, authoritative with it, but she didn't shoot it down immediately. So that's something, right? And then,
Don't piss off the fans. Don't piss off the fans. Don't piss off the fans. Of course it's going to be there.
yeah, she was just like, oh yeah, we're definitely interested in exploring something like that, So whatever you want to take from that, but it's not negative. So, but another thing that I think is more substantial is the most recent Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker, actually referenced Darth Revan in the movie, which effectively makes KOTOR canon, at least the character. Anyways, who knows, they could do all sorts of things with that. They may not be canonizing the entire story, but at least, the character itself implies that elements of KOTOR is being made canon, which is pretty exciting. And so this has kind of gotten everybody up in a frenzy about the possibility of a KOTOR remake. And before we get into this, there has been some speculation from various places. The one place I'm going to reference right now is IGN. They actually released a video kind of going over what studio from EA would be working on a remake. And It was a pretty good video. We can definitely recommend that you go check that out. Just IGN KOTOR Remake. I'm sure it'll pop right up. But they went over some of the studios here, and I kind of took some notes here. I thought it'd be interesting to point this out. But a lot of people are expecting BioWare, but BioWare is currently updating Anthem and working on the next Dragon Age. So they only have 2 teams at the moment. So it's unlikely BioWare. Then EA has Criterion, which they supported Battlefront 2 Star Wars, but they're mostly known for racing games. So like the Need for Speed franchise. So it probably wouldn't be them. EA has another studio, DICE, which they were the lead developer on Battlefront and Battlefield. So they're probably working on one of those games. Then we have Respawn. Now they just made Jedi Fallen Order, which has gotten a lot of great reviews, but it's implied that they're probably working on another Fallen Order game given the success of that game. But they're also working on Apex Legends, Titanfall, and they're also working on a Medal of Honor VR game. So possibly, but probably not them. They have another studio, Motive, which they're currently working on an Untitled Star Wars game, but they were merged with a smaller support studio of BioWare in 2017. So it's possible that Motive is. And then the other possibility is that they're sending it out to a third party, if this is true. So just full information out there for us to talk about this. Eric, do you think this is true? And then what do you think about a KOTOR remake in general?
I think there's definitely a lot of merit to that. It's a very popular series. EA has been under a lot of fire for having ownership of the Star Wars series and tarnishing it with which one is it? Battlefront?
Yeah, Battlefront
2.
2. Yeah.
And Fallen Order was most definitely a step in the right direction. It got a lot of positive response for people, and regardless if it wasn't a huge cash cow that they usually want out of each video game they make, it did bring a lot of positivity that they really needed. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are like in fan pleaser mode right now and be like, let's re-release KOTOR, and let's bring Darth Revan back. Everyone loves this story, so let's play it safe. Let's try to get in people's good graces. Now, the one thing I do question though is if it's actually going to be a remake of that RPG.
Yeah, I agree.
Or are they going to make a different genre game as it's the same story?
That's true too.
To try to appeal to a wider audience with it.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Are you?
I was just going to say that I think if they remake it, I think they'll probably try to make it like a Mass Effect
Kind of go
game.
that direction.
Yeah, where it's like a big open RPG and it's got advanced mechanics and stuff like that. I think if I had to predict how EA would approach this, I likely think it's going to be just the genre of the game is going to be different, but there's going to have like RPG aspects similar to Mass Effect to appeal to a wider audience, which honestly I would be okay with. If they want to do a reimagining and they just want to be faithful and they still want to be faithful to the story, then I'm all for that.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at something along the same lines. It probably I was Mass Effect. I was thinking more of like a more Fallout type like route, which I guess Mass Effect and Fallout, at least Mass Effect 1 is kind of similar, a little more streamlined, but I definitely think that they're definitely going to step away from that old school battle system that so many people either love or hate. But I was thinking that if they are remaking this, from what we've seen that they've talked about with the rumor, it seems to imply that they're going to try to combine KOTOR 1 and 2, and that it's more of a reimagining. And the way it's phrased, it makes me think that it's possible that it may not even be a remake at all. It might just be a new game in that universe that maybe relies on that lore or that uses that lore for the main story, but and maybe they have flashbacks to those events and they could rewrite them to better fit in with some of the other stuff they've done, and better fit in with some of the newer movies and stuff like that. If they, even though it's 2,000 years apart, but I don't know. I could see a game being made in the current timeline, of the new movies, and they're just referencing like this old line of Darth Revan, and like, some descendant of Darth Revan or something. And then they quickly go through, like the events of what happened in KOTOR 1 and 2. And, it's not actually a remake, but just kind of a new game in that universe. Because if this is a rumor, it's a lot of times rumors are, like 20% of what is actually being said, right? A lot of times they get it totally wrong. They don't know the full context. They don't know fully what's planned. So I wonder, on the range of complete remake and just in the world of KOTOR, where would this fall?
Mm, if they are planning on doing an older public movie series, I highly doubt that it will star Darth Revan.
Well,
Because
not a movie,
well,
just a game. Yeah.
well, what I mean is, like, assuming that the remake is a thing and they're
Mm-hmm.
going to make another movie or TV show based on the older public.
Right.
I think at least on the movie side, they're not going to star Darth Revan
Right.
because they're going to make that revelation. Because that's a big spoiler. Well, spoiler alert for people who haven't played KOTOR. Cover your ears for a minute. That the biggest reveal of that series is already known. So there's not going to be a lot of shock and awe to that. So that's what makes me think that they'll go with a different story.
Well,
And then with the game, if it is a reimagining of the game in a way, then I think that's okay, to keep that type of story in it where you customize your character being male or female or
sure.
whatever race you want it to be. And then, like,
But
I don't think there's any real harm
yeah, well,
in keeping it that structure.
I don't either. It's just, if we take like you said, the movie reference that was put in The Rise of Skywalker, where they talked about the line of Darth Revan, right? Like, so they're not talking about Darth Revan themselves. They're like, and granted, this was just a throwaway line, but, like all these people were of the line of Darth Revan or part of, that sect. And
Now, I missed that reference in the movie. I know it's in there, but I missed it. What exactly did they reference with
here,
Revan in that
let
movie?
me pull it up, because I did not like that movie, and I was very uncomfortable during it because of the seats. But The Rise of Skywalker, let me pull up the actual quote, because it's very throwaway, but I don't want to misquote it here. Okay, here we go.
Oh, yeah, I have a little thing right here too.
The Third Revan Legion. Okay, so whatever
First
that is.
spotted by Screen Rant, the Rise of Skywalker Visual Dictionary makes references to the old Sith Lord, including hints that Luke actually got his hands on a broken lightsaber crystal belonging to a Jedi Crusader, another name for the renegade Jedi who followed Revan, and he went off to batter the Mandalorians. Okay, so it's a very you got
Subtle
to be a
reference.
Star Wars nerd reference.
Right. So, and I wonder that if they were going to make a new game, like maybe they were like, oh, like we're going to make it on what was it? The Third Revan Legion, but it's going to be in the current time frame, not 2,000 years ago or whatever. So if they were going to do that, maybe they're talking about that, right? The Third Revan Legion, we're going to make a game surrounding that, and it's going to be part of the current canon because it was mentioned in the Skywalker film. So this is the
Yeah, I think
third.
they did that in the MMO, the Old Republic.
Yeah.
I believe there were cults who worship Darth Revan.
Okay. So let's say that they keep exploring that, and because it's mentioned in the movie, someone overhears, or they hear a little bit of scuttlebutt about, the fact that they're going to be making a new game that's based on, this lore from KOTOR, and and they're going to explore the Third Revan Legion, right? Then then this gets leaked to a website, and then they re-report it as a KOTOR remake. I just wonder if that's more of the case here because of the way this is like. There's been two rumors, and they're like, one's correcting the other. Like, no, it's not a remake. It's a blending of the two games. It's it's going to try to tie it in with the current canon, and I don't even know what that means when they say tie it in with the current canon. And the only thing that's current about that I could see is tying it into the movie. So if they're tying it into the movie, well, what's in the movie? The Third Revan Legion. You know, I could see it being not as cool as everyone thought, but it could be a complete KOTOR remake. I mean, like you mentioned, like it's a very hot item, and remakes are really popular right now. So it makes perfect sense to do one, but I don't know, I don't know if, Disney doesn't want them to do that or if, if they would rather them not make something that's separate from the current events.
Well, whatever. I think the rule is now, whatever you come out with, Star Wars wise, like it does need to follow the canon
Right.
of Star Wars, or you have to clearly establish that this is not
A
part of the
separate,
canon universe. Like like the Lego Star Wars games or something like that. When those are clearly not canon to
I don't know why
um
not.
um they're based on the actual events, but they're
Yeah.
not like they don't have Lego blocks falling off them all the time. But I do think if they do this remake, I think what it's going to be is going to be a reimagining. The story's probably going to be like the basic broad strokes are probably going to be the same. But I'm really to think about it, I'm kind of comparing it to the FF7 remake, except not making it episodic. Like
I go ahead.
it's bigger. It's
Yeah.
bigger. It's more beautiful looking. There's new action like mechanics to it instead of like the old RPG system. The planets are going to be a lot bigger and more detailed to explore. Similar to Mass Effect or whatnot. There's going to be like side quests where you can go to different planets and everything. Uh, I think it's just going to be much bigger in scale than it was on the previous one, and it's probably going to have action mechanics. I think, without overthinking it too much, I think that's just where it's going to draw the line, and where I think the first two games getting meshed together. I think it's going, like I said, I think it's going to tell the same story in broad strokes, but they might change some things around to either fit with the new lore of the Star Wars universe, or it's going to um, it's like someone just wants to tell it the way that they want to.
See,
Uh,
I think I would like if they do what you're saying, but the second rumor says, according to the second source, the game will feature elements from both the original KOTOR and KOTOR 2 to bring
sure, why not?
certain things into the current Star Wars canon. But the thing that gets me is will feature elements. So, I mean, yeah, I think it would be cool if they just like tell both those games in a complete remake. But I'm telling you, like, I'm just getting the feeling like it's not going to be a remake. It's just going to be another game that like highly based upon the lore of those two games and the stories, but it's going to be like a new game. That's what I'm thinking.
It very well could be. I think it's really up in the air right now because the way they word it, it sounds like it could really go either way. It could be like a completely new thing, like you said, and it may just use some references to KOTOR, or it could just be a full scale remake of that game and try to appeal it to a mass audience.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, either way, I'd be fine with either or. I just want to more. Well, I'm sorry. I just want to explore the old Republic again. That's like been my favorite thing to come from Star Wars, like ever since the original trilogy.
Mhm.
Essentially,
Yeah.
it is a fantastic timeline to explore. Where like the Jedi at their prime, the Sith at their prime, all these underground gangs, these places to explore. It's all so awesome, and I'd just like to see it all again.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you guys like KOTOR, you may not be aware, but one of our very early podcast episodes, we did a discussion podcast episode. It's on our YouTube channel and on our audio feed for KOTOR. So we did like a 2-hour discussion on Knights of the Old Republic. I think it's probably the least popular video we've ever done, but I enjoyed that game. I'd never played it, and we played it for the podcast, and I really really liked it. I still need to play the second one, but dude, I would be
I,
totally in on a remake.
I highly recommend it. It's less than $10 on Steam, and it's a full on awesome Star Wars adventure. You can get it on Xbox also if you have an Xbox One. It's backwards compatible
Yeah.
with it, and you can technically get it on your smartphone / tablet. I played it. I did play it on my tablet, and it actually plays pretty okay because a lot of it's like it plays kind of like a point and click type thing.
Yeah. Well,
On that,
that's
so
kind
it's
of the
okay on that also.
since I was kind of since I never played it until we played it for the podcast, I think I would have been more inclined to like it more immediately if I had played it when it came out. But it took me a while to get used to just what felt like to me like the battle system, because there's some things that are just like very that could use some polish, some quality of life features, and that's one of the reasons why I think a remake would be so cool, though, if they could just update that, because there was like probably for the first like 5 to 10 hours, if I wasn't playing it for the podcast, I probably would have stopped playing it. But I stuck in there with it, and once I got over that little hump and I got used to how things played, and I got kind of in the groove, I really liked the game. I really fell in love with it. So uh, I think a remake I could get totally on board with. I don't know if EA would just like totally ruin it. That's entirely possible too, but you know, I guess we'd have to see. I think of like the studios that they currently have. I I'm from what I understand, and I haven't played it, but the most recent Star Wars game, was it Fallen Order?
Hmm.
That's supposed to be really really good, and I
I
know.
got it.
Okay,
It's
well,
pretty good.
yeah, I know Respawn's kind of busy at the moment, but how would you feel if they took the mantle of that and not BioWare? Because right now BioWare just can't seem to get anything right.
Mm, I
So
don't know. Like Respawn has a good track record. They have a decent enough track record, and they look like they really care about the product they
right,
make. So I do think it would at least be a good. I do think it would be a good game if Respawn had it. Uh, BioWare, I don't know. Um,
well, they're just really busy right now. They're still working on Anthem, trying to fix it, and then they're working on the next Dragon Age, and they only have
and if
two
they had their
teams.
B team working on it, maybe. But like everyone that made Bioware what it is essentially gone now. That company really is a shallow its former self now.
Right.
So Dragon Age 4 is definitely going to be the like deciding factor of where Bioware goes
Yeah.
because
Well,
they are definitely not in a good spot. Mass Effect Andromeda, uh, everyone hated that game or
sure.
thought it was
Sure.
mediocre.
Yep.
Anthem, we all know what happened with Anthem.
Yeah.
And so if Dragon Age 4 can't show us what this is capable of, then I have no faith that they would be able to handle a KOTOR remake.
Well, I think.
So maybe it is better off with another company within EA.
Yeah. I think logistically, from what I've seen, like both their A team and their B team are currently busy with a big project though. So unless they're making like a separately new team, it's probably not BioWare from what I've seen. So it'll be interesting. Maybe they could be sending it out to like a third party, to like Bluepoint or something, to remake. That could be okay.
I don't think you need Bioware at this point, anyways, to remake it. I mean, you already have the blueprints, everything. You already have the general structure of the story. It's just
Yeah.
and just hire a good team of writers and in the right game studio, and you should
Sure.
be good to go.
Yeah. So, anyways, we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, if this was leaked, they're not ready to announce it, so it's probably going to be quite a ways until we see something official. But I'm excited. I'm excited to find out. whether or not this ends up being a reality. But something that is currently a reality, Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC. Both me and Eric were able to play it this week. And before we get into that, I just want to kind of throw some things out there that we've been doing with our channel, keep you guys up to date here. First things first, we are media partners with RPGFan.com. So make sure you go check them out. They have news, game reviews, soundtrack reviews on their website. They have a YouTube channel where they're doing more video reviews as well. That's rpgfan.com. And you can also check out their 2 RPG podcasts. We're also on their website as well, but the other 2 are Random Encounter and Retro Encounter. So make sure you check them out. And as we've been saying for about a month or so, we are planning on doing a Crisis Core spoiler discussion. We're trying to get excited about the remake, get fully up to date on everything before we play the remake. And so we did a Crisis Core spoiler discussion this past weekend. It has not been released. We're looking at releasing it this week on Thursday. So me, Eric, and Stan yesterday, we talked for 3 hours on Crisis Core. So if you are a Crisis Core fan, I think you're really going to enjoy it. I think we talked about the story for at least 2 hours. That was a major chunk of it. So it was a lot of fun. So I think you guys are going to enjoy that. So please look forward to that. That's going to be on Thursday of this week. We'll have that up there for you to watch and check out, and we'll have an audio version out as well. And we are planning on doing a Final Fantasy VII discussion as well. And that's going to be based on the PS1 version. We're still working out the date for that. But other than that, let's go ahead and get into our Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC impressions. We're going to try to not spoil the entirety of Kingdom Hearts 3 and the DLC, especially since a lot of you have not played this. You know, the DLC is not even out on the Xbox. We're trying to get Riconius to come on today to talk with us about this DLC. He came on for our game discussion on Kingdom Hearts 3 a year ago, and he was game to come on. He was like, oh man, I want to come on. I'll come on in the future. But he bought the game on Xbox, so he's been patiently waiting for this version to come out on that. So we totally understand. But that just struck me as weird. I forgot. This isn't even out on Xbox. It's so weird that they're making him wait for DLC. It's kind of silly. But some of the things this DLC has additional story, 13 boss battles, a secret episode and boss battle, a data greeting feature, and additional gameplay modes and difficulty settings. And Eric, since you've beaten the DLC, why don't you give us, your thoughts with it and whether or not you would recommend it?
I have and have not beaten the DLC.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought you got all the way to the end.
I did all the story content.
Okay.
I have not. I have not completed fighting all the super bosses yet.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten to the secret boss yet. But I did watch it on YouTube because I wanted to know now, and I know these bosses are going to take me a while to beat. So I will say it depends. If this DLC is worth it for you, is entirely dependent on if you want to do these boss fights or not.
Right.
Because the story content is not even 2 hours, and the 2 hours and 45 minutes of the DLC is retreading story points that you've already experienced in the game.
Yeah.
With the grand exception that it's being shown through a different perspective. So you get a little more insight onto the characters and some things that you felt like were some missing points of the story when it first originally came out. So, but the thing is, that stuff can really be just, I don't know if Square Enix likes to be saying this or not, but that stuff can easily be viewed on YouTube. You're just doing the same fights over again at the same difficulty level, mind you. And the actual difficult content doesn't come up till after that stuff is done. Now, after you complete the difficult content, the super bosses, including the very, very super boss at the end, if you beat that, you get a special cutscene that gives you more clues in regards to Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah.
And granted, that last little bit is worth a lot, but again, that can be viewed on YouTube. So it comes down to, do you want to fight these super bosses? If you just want the story, it's not worth $30.
Yeah.
You can look at, you can get all that cutscene stuff on YouTube, and I highly suggest just going through that for it. If you want the boss fights, absolutely. You have you have, I think, 14 to 15 wonderfully created boss fights, and they've readjusted the battle system to help make it feel more like Kingdom Hearts 2. So it kind of feels like a right at home thing. If you like the super boss content in KH2, it's a lot like that. So if you're into that, I highly recommend it. If you're only there for the story content, YouTube it.
Right. So I kind of mostly agree with Eric. I haven't played as much as he did, but from what I have played, there were parts that I liked about it. But ultimately, I think for me personally, like this was not made for me because I'm not a diehard Kingdom Hearts fan, and I really feel like a lot of this content's for diehard Kingdom Hearts fans. So, like the opening of the DLC, right? I'm not gonna spoil it here, but it begins with a 25-minute cutscene, and it like I was kind of interested at first, but at some point it just had me like bored to tears for most of it. I was just like, okay, I was like this close to just skipping it because like I'm not like I've only played Kingdom Hearts 1 and I've played half of 2 and then I beat 3. So there's lots of games that I missed, and then I have not played this game in like a year. So like there's parts where I was like not even quite sure what they were talking about, right? So that's why I was just like, okay, this is clearly like if you're like hardcore into Kingdom Hearts, like or just, you really loved 3, then this is obviously going to appeal to you. But for me, I was just like, okay, let's get the Sora, let's get on to the main chunk of this game. And that opening part was just really, really rough for me. And right after that, I immediately got thrown into a boss battle with like no opportunity to like get my bearings straight. So it was kind of weird because I hadn't played the game in a year, so I had to get acclimated again in a boss fight that was not necessarily the easiest. So that was kind of interesting. But um, like you were kind of pointing out, lots of the content felt padded out to me, like it was kind of retreading similar ground, and so that was kind of annoying. So yeah, man, for $30, that's half the price of a full game. I think I was expecting more along the route of having like some more like fully fleshed out worlds to explore, given that's half the price of a full game. And there's a lot of excitement on the FF content returning, and it was like very minimal. So yeah, I have to agree with you. Like if you're in it for the gameplay only, like this might be in something you want to check out. But I mean, for $30, man, like I was expecting like 20 hours, like I guess if you do everything in the DLC, it might take you that long. But like for the core experience, from what I understand, is like, I don't know, 5 hours, 10 hours max. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's not bad, but it seems kind of expensive for what you get.
$30 is too expensive. I mean, this is $30 was around the price where like Blood and Wine for Witcher 3 came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And we got like another 20-25 hours of game from that $30 expansion. And this, how long it takes depends on how good you are at the game, obviously. But I feel like this kind of DLC should have been $15 to $20. This is obviously like their answer to Final Mix, so they don't have to really re-release a whole game again with this added content.
Sure.
Because all this content is essentially Final Mix material. And but there isn't much beyond that. A lot of the gameplay fixes are offered for free already, and they actually offered the Oathkeeper and the Oblivion Keyblades for free without having to purchase the DLC. I don't know if there's any special Keyblade prize or anything for beating the secret bosses. I think you get stat boosts and items that increase your stats for beating these bosses. So I don't think there's anything real special on that. And I know for like Oathkeeper, you have to um, get all the Mickey Mouse pictures. Then Oblivion, you have to beat the game in critical mode to get that Keyblade. But you can do like New Game Plus off your normal, and
Yeah.
if you ever decide to replay the game, then you can get the Oblivion Keyblade that way.
Yeah.
But
I honestly though, I do have to say that like aside from just it feeling kind of padded out and kind of cheap that you have to like replay a lot of the same stuff, like all the like story cutscenes and everything, it feels very polished to me. Sometimes with DLC, you kind of get this feeling like the story sequences are not quite as polished as the main game. It's a little cheaper, but it feels and looks every much as polished as the main game. I mean, it definitely feels like, it's not like a step down in quality at all. So, like on that front, like it's not like they like halved everything, right? Like there's definitely some effort put into it, but I know some people have been criticizing it by saying that at least the story and some of the gameplay stuff, maybe also it after people beat it, they felt like it kind of felt like it should have been in the main game. And I can kind of empathize with that because the main story of the DLC is a story that has been in almost every Kingdom Hearts game. And so
all of this should have absolutely been in the main game.
Yeah, it doesn't feel separate.
Here's the thing though. The original Kingdom Hearts 2 at least had some super bosses. You had like Sephiroth, um I can't remember much, but there at least was a super boss. The only super boss available in Kingdom Hearts 3 was some random Heartless that was really easy to beat, even on like level 50 without an ultimate weapon. Like the boss was just a pushover, and there wasn't any real side quest content to engage in Kingdom Hearts 3. So when you felt like you're done the main story, assuming you got ultimate weapon, it's like I'm done. There's not much else to do. There's not much motivation to complete everything else. But
yeah,
the stuff that was added in this is good. Don't get me wrong. They do address story points in the game that people were highly questioning. And like I said, the secret ending is great. If anything, that gives people like weeks of stuff to talk about. Like it gives you so many uh questions that just makes you excited for Kingdom Hearts 4 to come out. And there's a lot of stuff that really shows that Nomura really wants to bring Versus 13 back in some way.
Yeah.
I won't spoil it from there, but there is a lot of stuff that makes you excited for the next game.
Yeah, I am very interested to see where they take this game in the next entry, because I think that they're really going to do something crazy and interesting with it, and I can't wait to see what that is. And I'm hoping that they do some kind of refresh or some kind of. I can kind of see a way where they could go where they could just say, okay, all this stuff has happened, but you don't need to know all this stuff to jump in now. Because it's with each new edition and, the DLC and everything, it's getting to the point where like if new people want to get in on it, it's kind of difficult unless you want to, go through all these games or you want to watch hours upon hours on YouTube or something like that. They have to get to the point where, you don't need to know all that stuff. And I think they're kind of getting to that point where they could potentially just, start a new story arc and maybe just kind of like tell you briefly, like kind of like things that happened in the past, but not be so reliant upon, you know, the heart of the darkness of a heart of a character that died but came back, but his twin died or something, like it doesn't have to be so convoluted. So
with the Xehanort saga done, they can definitely start fresh, like fresh, like There is still stuff that they're going to diverge on from the mobile game, like the whole black box thing and the Keyblade Masters from that era
Right.
of the Keyblade War. They will dive into that, but in terms of like the Xehanort saga, like it's done,
Thank God.
and they can pretty much do a soft reset on the story. They can just like go where you just need minimal knowledge
Sure.
of the first three games and all its spin-offs. And I think they'll even probably make the lore that we're supposed to know right now, like have it explained and simplified in some form. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. I'm just saying this is their opportunity to do so. Nomura, who is the best writer ever, is going to probably find some way to convolute it again.
That's very likely. But at least if people can jump in now or on the next entry and kind of be along for the ride, it can be a little less intimidating, I think, is what I'm going after. So,
I will say there is some mind shattering stuff through that secret ending that that you need to at least YouTube and
yeah,
just be like, wow, like this may actually change everything we know about Kingdom Hearts.
dude, it's going to be sick. And I'm excited. I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
little weird that if the next, like Kingdom Hearts 4, right? If that's based on a secret ending from DLC, that's kind of difficult to get to. That's going to be a interesting premise, but I think they're kind of relying on the fact that by the time that game comes out, if you don't play this, you're going to YouTube it or you're going to at least know what happened. So, um, yeah, it's going to be cool, man. It's going to be really cool. I'm really excited. So, um, speaking on Kingdom Hearts, though, there is a Kingdom Hearts game that has been announced, and it's called Project Xehanort. And I don't know. It's like it's exploring his path and like his ascension to darkness, and that's all we really know. It's going to come out on mobile, and right now Square is asking people to guess the name of the game. So they're giving a reward of $100 gift certificate on Amazon to 10 people that can guess the name of the game. And they said a clue is it's Kingdom Hearts, and and then it has two more words after that, totaling 8 letters. And there's been a lot of crazy guesses. Most of them are stuff I don't want to read on here, but um,
Some Latin crap that no one would be able to guess.
a lot of people are like
Looking into a
2.2
Latin
point
dictionary.
4.2.1. It's like, oh, maybe that could
Wait,
be
so
it.
he said it's 2 words after Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah,
and it's 8 letters in total. Those 2 words.
correct. Two. If those two words were together, it would be 8 letters.
Um. Hmm. Hold on. Let me get up the
Four
Latin
keys.
dictionary.
FOUR keys. 4 keys. Kingdom Hearts 4 keys. Or it could be 5 keys.
Oh, go submit it. Maybe you'll win $100.
Well, we'll know tomorrow. Apparently tomorrow they're going to announce the name of the game. So if it's 4 keys or 5 keys, I'm gonna lose my mind because I should have entered. But outside of that, that's the best I can guess. Or it's like Kingdom Hearts XX Remind. I don't know. I don't know. Remind times 2. It's who knows. It's almost impossible to try to guess this name, but I'll be interested to see what it ends up being. So that's cool. So we don't really know too much about this game. It's on mobile, but Square seems to be pushing it a lot with this campaign to have people guess it and win money. And it seems like they're trying to push this like it's going to be a mainline uh, like Kingdom Hearts game, or it's going to be like a full Kingdom Hearts experience. And I don't know, man. A mobile Kingdom Hearts game, like it just doesn't appeal to me, to be honest.
We already
Plus,
got one.
yeah, plus like it's answering questions. I have so many other Kingdom Hearts questions that I don't need. I'm not really concerned about this one. I'm just glad that this kind of arc is done. But
Kingdom
what do you
Hearts
think?
3 is the end of the Xehanort saga. If you don't believe in marketing. Like, I don't know. I guess it's from the very young Xehanort, not like the young Xehanort that goes through time. And then, which one was it? God, the,
There should only be one Xehanort. This
the,
is the
the
problem.
3DS Kingdom Hearts, that one. Crying out loud, I can't remember these names. Um, Dream Drop Distance, right? That young Xehanort. I think it's going to be the younger one, the one that plays chess with Ericus when he's young, and it's probably going to follow details with him. He's probably going to be like in the class with other um, students. It's probably going to be story driven, but it's probably going to be like just battles. You know, your typical mobile fare. It's not going to
Do you
be
think
like
it's
a
going to
huge scale RPG. I think it'll be like you do battles and you build up like stats and everything, and you eventually get like the next story portion.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like. So do things seems like you're leaning towards it's kind of like the FF games on mobile where it's very clearly, made for mobile games. It's not going to be a, like console like experience on a mobile platform.
It could be, but I have my doubts. I don't think they would put that much money into that, but who knows? Maybe they will. But it just seems like they want to do like a quick cash grab or something, but which is weird because like they're doing things like shutting down Mobius Final Fantasy, and like they have too much crap on there. So unless this is like something unique or special, maybe something like the FF15 Pocket Edition,
Yeah.
then I think it's going to fall in obscurity eventually. Like be popular and everyone download it at first, but then like everyone forgets about it eventually, unless they do something to like dangle a carrot in
See,
front of you the
I
whole way through.
I would write this off if they were like pushing it out to like a third party to make, kind of like they've been doing with some of the FF15 games, where it's just clearly a cash grab. But since Square itself is actually like doing this like petition and stuff, it makes me think that like they're wanting it to be more, right? And knowing Nomura, he's going to base like Kingdom Hearts 4 off like some story idea in this mobile game. Right? Like he's going to find some way to like make it like really important that you played this mobile game. Because, that's just his type of character. Like he just loves those details. Even if he can't get them right. So,
Well, I mean, if anything, it probably would have been. I mean, I gotta wait and see what the product is before I say
sure.
anything. But if it's not an ideal product, then I would think that maybe it was actually better if they put it in the current Kingdom Hearts mobile game they have out right now and make it some like special event.
All right. Well, we'll have to see.
But who knows? Maybe it could be something that we're not expecting, and it might actually be something legit. But when you say mobile, you really have to take that with a grain of salt.
Maybe it could be like an MMO on mobile in Kingdom Hearts world.
I don't know. I don't like to speak too badly of mobile because sometimes there are games I do like. Like I actually have been enjoying Brave Exvius on that
Sure.
device because it actually has. It's not the most compelling Final Fantasy story ever, but it's got that like nice Super Nintendo feeling story to it that feels nice to follow. It does have some exploration elements in the dungeons and towns, so there
There's
is
that.
stuff to like about it. And it does very little actually to try to gouge money out of
Right.
you. I mean, you play it casually.
Yeah. So there are good mobile games. So doesn't mean this one will be bad. We'll just have to wait and see. So
Yeah. So hopefully, yeah. Like you said, I hope the Xehanort game is like a decent quality mobile title like that.
sure. Yep. We'll have to see. So on our next topic here, we have The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf. Now this is a Witcher television film that's going to come to Netflix. It's going to be an anime, and it's being made by or produced by the same showrunner from the TV show. It's going to be a separate a story from The Witcher on the continent. We don't know if it's going to be based on the books or the games, or if it's just, well, obviously it's based in that world. They confirmed that it's going to be a story taking place somewhere else on the continent, but we don't even know if it's going to have Geralt in it. Although it seems like it probably is, given that it's called Nightmare of the Wolf, and the wolf is associated with Geralt. But yeah, all we know is it's an anime. It's coming out in spring 2020, so fairly soon, from what I've seen. And that's all we know. It's been in planning since before season 1 of the show came out. So it seems like, they were planning on doing this before this show was a hit. So it's kind of interesting because it seems like this anime is just an attempt to, keep fans interested, because season 2 of the main show is not coming out till 2021. However, given that this show was in planning like, a year ago, or this film was in planning a year ago, it's kind of interesting. I don't know what to think about it. I am curious who they're going to get to cast Geralt if he is in this, because if they can't make season 2 because Henry Cavill is busy, then I don't know if he's going to have time to voice act a film. I guess that's less effort, but I wonder if they could get the voice actor from Witcher 3, the video game,
They could.
and that would be
Why
cool.
not? Yeah, why not? It would free up Henry Cavill, unless Henry Cavill actively wants to do the voice acting for it. But they probably got everything planned out ahead of time, and for like even in terms of voice actors, so everything's probably already established and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If anything, it's probably done already.
Yeah.
But I do like this. It's a I would call it holdover content, or like stuff to hold you over until the new stuff comes out. Is it just like a full movie, or I
So
forgot, or is it just like are they going to do like TV shorts or something?
it's supposed to be a one-off film length, like a feature-length film. So probably, an hour and a half. It's kind of weird though, because it's going to be, they said it's going to be an anime. It's the same studio that worked on one of their other anime shows, doing the artwork. But given The Witcher is most commonly associated with a Western RPG, obviously it's books as well. Um, it's kind of interesting. They're going to make an anime out of it.
They can really make new stories out of it. They don't have to use the
No.
books or the game, because I mean that's the beauty of The Witcher. Also, you can create like standalone stories, and all you need to do is just follow the rules of the lore and world, and you can pretty much create whatever you want. Assuming like the author and the creators of the show like approve the story. It's like you can make Geralt go on any adventure you want. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You can make probably like 1 to 2 movies before the second season comes out, and it's good stuff for to hold people over until, and you can make it canon. Be like, oh, these are crazy cool stories that Geralt went through while we're waiting for the season 2 to happen. And it doesn't have to involve like Yennefer or Ciri. It can be like the standalone episodes, like the one, which one was it? It was I mean, Triss was in it technically, but it was the Cursed Princess
Yeah.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
You could just have more. You could just have like animated movies that are just stories like that. Like you don't have to dive deep into Geralt's past or personal life. You can just be like standalone.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. Like you said, it being a kind of a holdover show or film is kind of the direction I was going in. Although, like I said, it was kind of weird given it's been in planning, I think, since before the show or at the same time of the show. And it's still, I just interesting that, that there's this blending of just, like Western sensibilities with like Japanese style of animation. It's very interesting that they're going that route. But yeah, I'm totally in. They could definitely. I still think there's other stories in the book, that the first book, that they didn't even use in the first season. So I don't know what nightmare the wolf could imply, but there's definitely other stories that they could use. Know what it could be now I'm thinking about it. There is in the first book, The Last Wish, there's a story, one of my favorite stories that they did not use. And Geralt comes across this werewolf, right? And this werewolf is obviously a man that's been turned into this wolf creature full time. And he's being held captive by this like vampire woman, right? I can't remember the technical lore name for the vampire woman, so I'm just going to call it a vampire woman. But anyway, she's like possessing him and making him kill all these people, and he thinks it's a dream. And Geralt's trying to help him, but it's a really good chapter because of the way it ends, and it's just it's so gut wrenching, but so good at the same time that you're just, and it's such a good character. So that would be cool if they could tell that story. Because that I'm telling you, this makes total sense. This wolf creature was having these nightmares, and like it was really troubling to him. And like Geralt was like, "I can help you if you'll let me." I'm telling you, this has got to be what it is. This sounds like to me what it is. It's like I think the third chapter of The Last Wish. You guys should go check it out. But
That would be cool. Like I said, you can really do anything. And so I'd like to see that also. If that wasn't included in the book, I think something like that would be ideal to put into the animated movies at least.
yeah, for sure. So
Mhm.
I'm excited. Definitely.
You look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have our Discord question here. We'll just move on to here, and this will be the last topic of the day. It's from Decoy Manta, who says, in your opinion, what are some of the most overrated and underrated RPGs out there? I feel like we've kind of answered this before in the past, but it's been a while, so I'm always willing
I
to
guess I can give
repeat.
a different answer.
I don't know. I don't remember what I answered last time, so it'll be interesting to see if I pick something different this time. But Eric, what are some overrated or underrated RPGs out there?
I think the overrated games right now are probably the most recent Fire Emblem games. Like, I mean, it comes down to personal taste, and everyone has this like overwhelmingly positive reception
Mm,
to Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I actually find the school system and everything super tedious. And I want to get just straight to the main story points in the battles. And while there are a lot of features to skip, a lot of the school aspect, it's still ultimately like the core foundation of that game. So you still have to do something time to time with it, and it's just something I just don't like dealing with. I don't like these personal sim stuff sometimes. I don't like keeping up with like relationship statuses and everything like that. So I feel like it tarnished the Fire Emblem series, and again, people like this stuff, and they think it's great for the series. So if that's what people like, that's great. But this is probably where I stop the Fire Emblem series unless they start taking things in a different direction, which I don't think they will. I think the waifu simulator stuff is there to stay.
it's weird though because I feel like every review I read was said something along the lines of, at the heart, this is a really good game, but those elements were very tedious. So it's like, I wonder if they see this like plethora of, potential customers out there that they haven't touched yet. And they're like, you know what? These people, this minority here that we've been pleasing for 10 years or whatever, we're just gonna drop that and we're just gonna go after greener pastures. And but at the same time, they may be looking at it the other way, like, well, this game has those elements in it and it got great reviews. We need more of those elements. You know, it's hard to see how they see things.
Yeah, I was hoping Three Houses. I was already disagreeing with the three faction thing, but what I was hoping was that they'd bring elements from a thing called Shadows of Valentia, something like that, Fire Emblem Echoes. There's something I actually really liked about that game, and those dungeon exploration. And I was thinking that they were going to implement that in Three Houses, but they didn't, which was another disappointing thing for me,
Yeah.
for sure.
If you liked Three
Right.
Houses, do not get too upset because I picked Three Houses as my game of the year, my RPG game of the year. So there is some love on this podcast for Three Houses. I enjoyed it. Um,
Hmm.
so for me, for like underrated games or overrated games, I was thinking of a few, but I'll probably just skip the ones I think I usually pick and I'll go to some other games. So Octopath Traveler, I think that game is very overrated. I see people referencing that game these days as like it was like a modern classic or like just like it's a revered title. And I just wonder if they played the same game that I played. Like I really like the music, I really like the combat, I really like the art style, but that story just was not there. It just wasn't there. And like the lazy way the characters interacted with each other, or like the fact that like you would be doing a person's story solo, but like you would still have your other party members there, but they would act like they're not there. It was really weird. And like, I didn't understand why they went that route. And I just don't think that that game fully hit the mark for what like a modern classic would be. It just, it had a lot of promise, but it just, I don't think it was as good as a lot of people give it credit for these days.
Yeah. I think it had a lot of frustrating grinding elements too.
Yeah. So that was one game, and the other games I was thinking of was a collection of games. But like, why does anybody still get excited about Tokyo RPG Factory games? Like I still see people talking about like, oh, like there's going to be another one. Like I don't know. Like I like the only game that I remotely liked was I Am Setsuna, and I only kind of like that game. Like so, it's just I don't know. Like I think those games are generally overrated, especially for the price point that they come out on. I just think that they're generally cash grabs. So, do you have a underrated RPG that you want to bring up, Eric?
Yeah, and I actually played it recently. Um, Last story.
Oh, I didn't know you were playing that.
Yeah, I got the Dolphin emulator working. So I've been transitioning between a couple games, but I did play through that a couple chapters in. I'll say about 15 hours into the game, and it's still really good. I mean, the writing is still pretty spot on. There are a few little annoying moments or some weird dialogue moments, but besides that, it's a nice contained story, and I feel like it's not really the people's fault. It was really that the game came out like at the end of the Wii's life cycle. Like I think the Wii U was out
Right.
about the time this came out in North America, at least.
Bad idea.
And or it came out just like right before it and whatnot. So it skipped a lot of people because people are moving on to the next thing. And I think if they release this game on the Switch, or do like a PC, PS4, Switch type deal, assuming there's no like, not like assuming Nintendo wouldn't interfere with it. I think that would be something great for Sakaguchi to do. I know he's currently working on an RPG, but he could hire another company to HD remaster that game and get it out there, and that would be easy money for them to fund more of their projects.
Yeah, I really want to see some kind of re-release of that game because I've only played it a little bit, and I really want to play it. And I was trying to get a ROM of it, and I couldn't find a place to get it that didn't make me feel like I was gonna also get a bunch of viruses or have the FBI beating down my door. So it would be nice if we could get a re-release of that game for sure. So for me,
Mhm.
I was just gonna say the base Shadow Hearts game I think is a very underrated game because I always see people talking about the sequel, Shadow Hearts Covenant, and that game really did get a lot of press. It got really good scores. It got like nines out of tens all over the place. And the game that came prior to that was like a little hit or miss with critics. Some really liked it, some really didn't like it. And they didn't really release a lot of copies in the West. And for that reason, I think that it's a little unfortunate because it's often overlooked compared to the sequel. But I actually think the base game Shadow Hearts for the PS2 is a better game in my opinion in terms of like the grand picture. It's I think its story is much better than the sequel. It's got much better music. It's got Yosunori Mitsuda on it doing the music, which is awesome. And just those two components alone, and it has a grittiness to it. It's rated M, and so there's all sorts of just like blood and guts and gore, and it's just so gritty. But it's made in the same kind of vein as like almost like a Final Fantasy type experience. So it's a really unique game. Whereas the sequel, they toned it back a little bit. It was a little bit more anime-ish, and they did improve on some of the gameplay, but the gameplay was already so good in the first game. So it's I don't know. I feel like I'm constantly raving about the first Shadow Hearts game, and just I just really like the story and the setting, and so that would be my underrated game.
Well, if the PS5 ends up having backwards compatibility, then be a better time than ever to recommend it to people.
That would be cool. That would be very, very cool. And it seems like it's probably going to. So,
Cross your fingers.
yeah. But I think that's going to wrap our podcast up for tonight. Now, just quick a reminder, if you're listening to this on our audio version, we do have a YouTube page, and we are going to be having our Crisis Core discussion posted on there on Thursday. I'm going to try to get the audio version out the same day. We'll see. But if you don't see the audio version out, make sure you go to our YouTube page and you can check out our Crisis Core discussion. It's going to be coming out on Thursday, which is going to be the 30th. So I'll have that up there, and it's 3 hours long of nothing but just Crisis Core spoilers and discussions. And we go into, how they can incorporate it into the remake. And, we go to death on Genesis and Angeal and the Nibelheim incident. And like, we just go all in on Crisis Core. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So other than that, that's all I got. And I guess we'll see you all next week. Take it easy, guys.
Take care.